The Phenom.
The Dead Man.
The Demon from Death Valley.
The American Badass.
The Stinger.
The Franchise.
The Icon.
The Vigilante.
We're giving you the match that they wouldn't. September 2nd. The Dream Match. Sting versus The Undertaker. Everything is disputed. Welcome, adjudicators, to another episode of Disputed, where two fictional characters...
What's up? Did we lose you?
I'm hearing something different. Let's try this again. Welcome, adjudic. I'm hearing myself. That I'm having an echo.
Oh, I see.
I am having an echo. Let me turn.
Oh, well, he bounced out for a second. So while we're waiting for him to come back, I will. I guess I'll probably do a little bit of the intro. So I will get where he was leaving off. Welcome, adjudicators, to another episode of Disputed, where two fictional characters will go head to head, armed with only other advocates, and you will decide the outcome. Everything is disputed. So while we're waiting for, we got, it looks like, so we have our advocates, but we lost my guest host, my co-host, Demond. So, we're going to have to give him a second to come back. It looks like he may have lost his, there he is. He's back now.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm not sure what I was hearing myself twice. I think,
Well, I just did your part of the intro, but if you want to do it again, you can feel free to do that, or you can just skip to introducing yourself.
I will get to, hey, fellow nerds, I am Demond, father of two, husband of one, a.k.a. the Demondalorian. You may know me from such podcasts as Demond Does, Different World Pod, 10 Phony Punches, and soon to be done with the local library, Jeffersonville Township Library, The Stack.
All
and
right,
my
then.
co-host, my sexy sounding co-host, Mr. Love Machine Voice himself, the White Barry White. That's really redundant. Give it up for Dean Giles.
White squared. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and those beyond the binary. I'm Dean, podcasting ninja, Letterkenny resident, jester to the queens of Woodcrest, and bastard son of Sam Elliott and Johnny Cash. Ah, man. How y'all doing? How you doing there this evening there, Demond? Are we feeling all right?
I am amazing. I am so excited I love doing this show, and I'm excited about I'm even more excited about the subject matter because it's near and dear to my heart.
It is. Yeah. I don't, and I've said this a number of times. I don't watch wrestling. I haven't watched wrestling since Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. That was the last time I've seen, clips of stuff, but that's the last time I actually watched a match. But during this whole time, this build up to this episode, I've gotten more and more excited about it because I love, number one, I love our advocates who we have part of the podcast network, Tim and John from Armbar Audio. They will be joining us here in a second, but I'm super excited to see how this turns out. I mean, from building the promo videos that we did and all that stuff, it was dope. It got me pumped up for this episode.
It was a lot of fun. Do you want to give up? Do you want to talk about the results from last?
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, because last week we had Drake and Jeff on to dispute Axel Foley versus Mike Lowry. And I can't not say it like Martin Lawrence was saying it in the movie. Right. Mike Lowry. I'm Mike Lowry. But so the results from that episode. Axel Foley, Drake, 83%. Mike Lowry, 17%. So congrats to Drake for winning the episode. Jeff, you fought valiantly for Mike Lowry, but it just didn't hit this time. But we definitely want to have you both back again. So, but yeah, everybody check out both of their respective podcasts. Drake is on Everything Culture, Everything THANG Culture, and Jeff is with those guys over there. So yeah, check those. They have both great podcasts. They're both very different, and just like if you didn't watch the last episode, go watch it because it's great. Those guys, they're different styles, completely different styles, but they brought it and they fought, and Axel.
Everybody made their good points, but
They did.
I mean, Axel Foley is pretty timeless, and he did have better theme music.
A little Harold Faltermeyer for you.
That was Herbie Hancock, baby.
Oh, was that? No, I thought Axel F wasn't that Harold Faltermeyer?
I thought that was Herbie Hancock. We're gonna have to dispute that another time.
We're gonna get on that. So, are we? So, is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we introduce our guests?
No. No. I think that's about it.
All
Let's
right, so
do it.
Let me bring these folks in here. So I'm bringing them into the stream. So. We've got our buddies here, Tim and John. So let's. I'm gonna go ahead and let me find my buttons here. I'm gonna go ahead and introduce Tim. All right. Our first advocate today hails from McKees Rocks, Pennsylvania. He once caught a seahorse by hand, and in high school he won an award for the most knowledgeable of the '60s. I'm not sure if that was the decade or his age preference for his dates, but in any case, do not upset him, as he will likely defecate on your lawn. You may know him as Disgusting, Huggy Bear Timmy, or Pro Guru, but we know him as one half of the Armbar audio podcast, Tim Farley.
Your souls are now in the realm of the undead. And I will be leaving here with at least one of them.
I'm excited to hear what you've got to say this evening, Tim. But so who are you advocating for, and why? And to follow up, what do you bring to the table?
Whoa, what do I bring to the table?
Yeah.
What kind of party is this? Anyway, I am advocating for the Phenom, the Dead Man, the Demon of Death Valley, the American Badass, the one and only Undertaker, Mark Calloway. I am. What were the other questions you asked?
What do you bring to the table? And
what do I bring to the table?
Yeah, why are you going with Taker? And what
I chose the Undertaker because when I was approached with this, I had a perfect person in mind to represent Sting, and that is my co-host John Kearns, who we will talk to in a second, because John was literally raised in the womb as a Sting fan. His mother has plentiful Sting merchandise.
Is that a euphemism for something?
I don't know.
It's just the truth.
And if it wasn't for Chris Jericho existing, Sting would probably be John's favorite wrestler of all time. Now, I chose Undertaker also because there was a time period of the Undertaker that I feel
I'm getting him off of it.
could beat literally anyone in pro wrestling, and that's the era that I chose, which is the World Heavyweight Championship era from 2007 to 2010. What do I bring to the table? Well, a wealth of useless knowledge and a love of human beings. I have this on my table and some water. So yeah, that's what I bring to the table.
Got to keep the pipes lubricated.
I bring John to the table. How about that?
Well, in that
How
case,
dare you?
So
How dare you say my name?
in that case, so if y'all are ready for Demond.
Our next advocate for the evening hails from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where he not only is heavily involved with gaming for charity, but is also an avid ghost hunter. Even though he hasn't done many things in his life, he does partner up with our first advocate for the evening to co-host the Armbar audio podcast. Many call him Big John, but we just know him as John Turn. John, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. How are you fine folks doing?
I can't speak for anybody else, but I, sir, am amazing.
All right.
So you're going with Sting, and he led, Tim led with you've been a fan since birth, so I got to hear that story, and more, and tell the fans about yourself and what you bring to the table.
Okay. Well, Tim speaks the truth when he says that I was raised to be a Sting fan. I don't really have any specifics, but we are currently in the planning process of my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary party, which is happening next year. So we're going through photo albums, and I noticed a trend in these photos of my mother wearing different Sting t-shirts and myself wearing different Sting t-shirts, as well as New World Order shirts. And I'll admit it, a few Undertaker shirts. About me. Well, Tim laughed when you said I'm a man who hasn't done many things in my life, but when asked about facts about me, or strange facts, that's what I said. I said I'm a man who hasn't done much. I just kind of.
But you got your bucket list.
I got my bucket list. Yes.
All right.
What do you mean you haven't done much?
What have I done?
You need to give yourself more credit.
Call him out. Call him out. Hold up. Call him out.
It's not a no credit thing. It's not.
You know what?
Thing.
I'm here to advocate for him.
What about me is exciting?
What about you isn't exciting?
Clearly, you're a huge.
You're a huge nerd. Number
I am
one,
a huge nerd,
and that's awesome.
I am a huge nerd.
You're a huge ally.
Literally.
You're
okay,
a huge
so that's
ally.
2 different things.
You've traveled to Philadelphia and had a great. You had like all that shit to tell me, and like your history. Your brain is filled with all this historical facts and shit.
Yeah, but historical facts aren't interesting to anyone but me, in my opinion.
That's not true.
That's not true.
Literal historians and history teachers.
They have whole classes and museums on these things.
I have a whole board that has enamel pins on it. That's pretty cool. Actually, you mentioned the gaming charity. With me at all times is this medal that I have, where I raised $500 for Extra Life last year.
Very nice.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome.
It's like a cross between Aerosmith and a game controller.
Yeah, right. Very much so.
It makes me very proud that he is my partner in crime.
Over on this wing here, it says FTK. That stands for the kids, which is a tagline that Extra Life is no longer legally allowed to use. So that's fun.
Yeah, once again,
because of Wu-Tang.
No, it's
Wu-Tang.
some other charity trademarked it, so they have another thing now. What do I bring to the table? Well, I have I have this cup full of candy wrappers. I have.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to ask this question and say metaphorically speaking next time.
I have my fidget spinner, which I literally just purchased. I have my little man.
We've got Jeff. We've got Jeff here from last episode popping in saying Sting is always watching from the rafters.
He is. He's up there right now. I can see him where I am.
But Undertaker is everywhere.
I don't like that he knows where I live. But you know.
Oh man. So
this is fun.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm excited to have you guys here. I mean, I've been fans of you guys personally since having you on. How are you now? And then
Oh, yeah.
and working with you guys in Podskier and everything. So it's been fantastic. I love you guys. You are great partners for
We love
both
you too.
for you're great partners together, and you're great partners for us as well. So we love having you.
Yes. For anyone who may be confused, we are straight cis men.
Tim
That's
probably
okay.
is my hetero life mate.
There you go. I like
Correct.
that. I like that. My heterosexual.
But today I'm going to fucking destroy him. So
and then you'll buy him dinner after.
No,
probably at some point. What do you mean?
You guys are
Go ahead.
actually going to have a friendly spat with rules. Not many couples get that. You actually have rules, moderators, and referees. This is fantastic. Not a lot of people pay a lot of money in therapy for this.
I've been to couples
fake.
therapy.
It's not real. It's not really there. It's fake.
So Damon, you wanna
Sure.
read off the intro there?
Yes, it would be my pleasure. This episode brings disputes between two well-known wrestlers who are going head-to-head to determine in their prime who was the master of the ring. Who are these two wrestlers, you ask? I think we mentioned it a little early. If you missed the opening somehow, they are only two of the most iconic and long-lived brawlers to ever grace the squared circle. Say that 3 times fast. Sting versus The Undertaker. And Dean, would you like to explain the rules?
I would love to explain the rules. So the rules are as such. I will give you the list of debate timing, but Devon and I, the moderators, can extend your time another 30 seconds. You can also bank time that you haven't used. So I will tell you this. Here's the timing. So Advocate 1, John, you will have 5 minutes for 5 minutes for your opening statement. I'm sorry, John. I meant to say Tim. Tim's going first. Tim, 5 minutes. John, you will get a 2-minute rebuttal. And then you will get, after that, your 5-minute opening statement. And then Tim will get to rebut you. Then Damon and I will both get to ask you questions, of which you will get 2 minutes to answer and rebut. And then we will go into closing arguments, which will be 2 minutes each for each of you, starting with John and then ending with Tim. So that's it. And then afterwards, we will give instructions on how everyone can vote.
Now, the closing segments for this episode is different from the other ones, right? Because we had to come up with an angle for the match.
Yeah.
And give like the ending of that match, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
You're basically coming at the end and you're saying this is why I said all the things I said and this is what I believe in, and that's where you go.
And in wrestler parlance, you've got the book, and you're writing the angle and the finish.
Yep.
So so what I will do is so Tim, you're going to be going first. When I tell you, your 5 minutes will begin. And if you don't go the full 5 minutes, I'll let you know how much time you've banked back if you want to use it. And then same thing for you, John. All right. So Tim, you are up first. Let's see here. Can I do this? Here we go. Right there. There you go. So Tim, 5 minutes for The Undertaker.
Well, first off, I want to talk about, a lot of people have different ideas of when the peak of Undertaker was. A lot say 94, when he really hit the stride as the Undertaker in the WWF. Some people think the American Badass era. Some think the Ministry of Darkness era, where he had great matches with Shawn Michaels in the first ever Hell in a Cell, where his brother Kane came out, where that ignited in a feud for decades. Also, he had an amazing match with Steve Austin at a SummerSlam, where he actually knocked Stone Cold out. He stone colded Stone Cold. But I chose where I felt that he was at the peak. And the peak of The Undertaker for me is from 2007 to 2000 through 2010, which he was, this is called like SmackDown era Undertaker, or the World Heavyweight Championship phase. I believe that this is the prime and peak of The Undertaker because he was at his most athletic. He was putting on his best in-ring performances. He was in multiple variation types of matches. He worked through many types of injuries, and he had great feuds and storylines through this time with Shawn Michaels, with Edge and La Familia, and with his brother Kane. And Paul Bearer came back for that very feud. I would be remiss to say, and not use this 5 minutes to say, that he had 4 WrestleMania matches. One, he won the Royal Rumble in January of 2007, and in April of that year beat Batista for the World Heavyweight Championship. He beat Edge for the World Heavyweight Championship at the next WrestleMania. Then he had 2 bangers of matches with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25 and 26. Both were awarded 4.75 stars by Dave Meltzer, which is a 5-star rating for a WWF/E match by Dave Meltzer. Is very hard to come by. And both of those matches each year made Pro Wrestling Illustrated's and Wrestling Observer Newsletter awards for Match of the Year in 2009 and 2010. The WrestleMania 25 match with Michaels is regarded as one of the greatest Mania matches of all time, and WWE itself ranked it number 1 out of 35 of the greatest WrestleMania matches. Yes. This Undertaker came back as the Dead Man, but he didn't have the purple gloves and all of that. He had a singlet, and he not only was he using his old school moves, like Old School or the Choke Slam or Tombstones, but he was incorporating his MMA-based offense with multiple strike combinations. He used a triangle chokehold called Hell's Gate. He could beat you in multiple fashions. Now, during these years, he was 38 to 41 years old. His height is 6'10", and he was 300 pounds. And he was diving over the ropes doing tope con heroes to people. In the WrestleMania 25 match, he went after Michaels with it, but Michaels moved out of the way and he hit a cameraman. In this era, he also competed in 2 Royal Rumbles. He competed in 2 Elimination Chambers, one in which he got 1st and 2nd degree burns by the pyrotechnics, and he still continued to wrestle. He had feuds with Edge, Big Show, Mark Henry, Jeff Hardy, CM Punk, Triple H, Chris Jericho, Batista, Finlay, Kane, Rey Mysterio, and the Nexus. By the end of this era, his Mania record was 18-0. He won the World Heavyweight title from Batista, Edge, and CM Punk. CM Punk's one was at Hell in a Cell. He defeated Edge in a Hell in a Cell match, defeated Batista.
We can't hear you, Dean.
We can't hear you, Dean.
Jesus, I muted myself. That's why. Because so if you want to wrap up a couple more seconds, if you have something, if it's not going to take long, then go ahead and wrap it up. Otherwise, we'll jump to John to rebut.
Yeah, just 1 second.
I will allow Tim all the time he needs.
He defeated Batista in a TLC match. He competed in the Elimination Chambers. He was in Last Man Standing matches. He was in cage matches. He put Big Show in a casket. I mean, the guy was doing all kinds of bad things to his body for the sake of the fans and the sake for the story and the sake for the storytelling. And there you go.
All right. Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
All right. John, are you prepared for your 2-minute rebuttal?
I'm as prepared as I can be. Let's see
All
what
right.
happens.
Let's go.
So I want to start by saying that speaking in any way, shape, or form negatively about the Undertaker honestly goes against everything that I stand for. However, I'm here to do a job. Everything you said about the Undertaker's run in 2007 to 2010 is true. He did win the Royal Rumble. He did have amazing feuds. Everyone that you listed, a who's who of pro wrestling at the time. CM Punk just made his return after 7 years to AEW to a crowd that almost leveled the building that they were in. As far as a rebuttal goes, I just think that while it is true, I believe at the time that you chose 2007 2010, I believe Sting had moved on to Impact Wrestling. WCW was no more, so I don't really have anything to go against what the Undertaker was doing at that time. I do know that in TNA, Sting was one of the big draws for the company at the time. It was in a time where TNA was sort of at a downturn, but that had nothing to do with Sting. Had a lot to do with Hulk Hogan, but a lot of things have fallen to the wayside because of Hulk Hogan.
I get that reference.
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple more seconds if you have something you want to finish off with.
No, I would just like to go into my.
You ready to go? Are you ready to go for your?
He's ready. I'm loving this.
ready.
Yeah.
Let's get after it. Let's go.
All right. Picture Sicily. No, never. The year. I chose Sting from the year 1996 to 1998. Towards the tail end of WCW, where Vince Russo hadn't quite taken over creative control, so there was still plenty of good to see on the show. So the year 1996 marked a complete shift in the direction of Sting's career. Gone were the days of the blonde flat top haircut and the wildly colorful face paints. He grew his hair long, let the natural dark color come through, started painting his face white and black in a similar fashion to popular film character The Crow. His attire changed as well. Instead of the colorful tights that he used to wear, he wore an all-black bodysuit with a white scorpion up either side. You can see it right there, actually. He wore a long black trench coat, and he was normally seen carrying a black baseball bat, where he actually humorously borrowed a line from Jim Carrey's version of the Riddler from Batman Forever, where he would say, "Riddle me this, riddle me that, who's afraid of the big black bat?" At this time, Monday Nitro was the hottest wrestling program on Monday nights, regularly beating rival show WWF Raw is War, featuring The Undertaker, in the ratings. Let me see here. I got it. So the hottest thing going in WCW, of course, was the New World Order, a villainous faction, because this was the time where everybody liked the bad guys. The bad guys were the cool guys. But then you have Sting, who didn't really like what they were doing. Sting, having taken on a vigilante role, often had matches against NWO members and would even attack them out of nowhere. often he would rappel from the rafters or come up through the bottom of the ring to attack them in various ways. I think he once fended off 8 NWO members at one time with his bat. So, I mean, Hulk Hogan specifically was often one of the people that Sting was fighting. So, but I'm going to talk about the crowd reaction to Sting. Crowds in the arenas, fans watching at home, always captivated when Sting was there. WCW immediately took notice of the traction Sting was building up, and his merchandise was being made barely fast enough to keep those merch stands stocked and the stores stocked. Every line of action figures WCW ever had featured some iteration of the icon Sting. Adults and children alike would fill the stands at the Monday Nitro live shows and the untelevised house shows wearing the Sting plastic masks. I owned 2 of those masks and my fair share of shirts. In fact, in one of my elementary school photos, I am pictured wearing a Sting shirt and holding my Sting wrestling buddy, which was a stuffed toy that would like grunt and like say phrases based on if you like punch it or pull its arms. Basically my Sting wrestle buddy fell victim to all the wrestling moves that I was explicitly told not to try at home. Needless to say, when Sting hit the screen and belted out that famous battle cry, it was showtime. That's the end of my statement.
All right, then. So you got a minute to bank there. Tim, if you're ready for rebuttal, I'm going to go ahead and bring you over and go for it. You get 2 minutes. You're muted.
John mentioned that at that time, WCW Nitro was the hottest thing going, and it was regularly beating WWF Raw's War. But Mark Calloway, Mean Mark, was thrown away by WCW. And Vince McMahon picked him up and gave him the Undertaker gimmick. And through the Monday Night Wars, Taker never wavered. We saw Scott Hall and Kevin Nash lead the exodus of the WWF to the WCW, but who stayed? Mark Calloway, The Undertaker. Through all of it, The Undertaker never wavered. And what happened ultimately? WCW fell and WWE remained. The only reason people now can see WCW footage of Sting, footage of Sting as the Crow,
You
Sting.
son of a bitch.
The only reason people can see Sting
How
beat
dare you,
Hulk
sir.
Hogan
How
or
dare
fight the NWO or join the NWO Wolfpack is because of one Vincent Kennedy McMahon and his main man who would never leave his side,
Triple
The
H.
Undertaker. No. Taker is a company man through and through. Triple H banged his daughter and got his way in. Taker didn't have to do that. Taker had the respect of that locker room forever.
Done.
All right.
Wow. It got spicy.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I like that. I like.
That was it's hot.
Give me a little bit of that heat. You got any? So, Damon, do you have any questions? I'm trying to come up with because I
have a little rebuttal there.
I'll give you 30 seconds.
What happened when Sting finally did bite the bullet and go to WWE? Had one match with Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins injured him to the point that he had to leave wrestling for almost 3 whole years before going to AEW, where he's now one of the main attractions.
Oh boy. Here we go.
All right.
I have a feeling this might continue on Armbar Audio.
Oh, Armbar Audio is done after this.
This is the divorce.
Devon, you got any questions for him?
Okay, so I'm supposed to have a question for Tim, yes?
Correct.
Okay, Tim, what surprises you most about Undertaker? And this is from a guy who's shot lightning and has evolved so much over his career. Like what surprised or surprises you about the Undertaker?
The first time I saw Undertaker live was SummerSlam '96, I believe, and just being in the presence of his entrance sent chills down my spine. I wasn't necessarily scared because I had seen him on TV, but it was unlike anything else. But what surprises me about the Undertaker is how far he is willing to go mentally and physically for the fans of pro wrestling. He could have retired many years before he did. He could have never had another Mania match after he lost to Brock Lesnar, but he kept coming back. And in the Last Ride documentary, you could see in the back where he was hurting, and Vince said, "You don't have to do this. You don't have to keep coming back." But it was Undertaker's choice. And ultimately, he did redeem himself in the eyes of fans and critics with his last couple Mania appearances. But the thing that surprises me the most is his dedication to the sport and to the fans.
Well said. Well said. John, you have a rebuttal about that?
Wait, what did you, what was like the first thing you said? Because I thought of something and
when I saw him live.
Oh yeah, the live entrance. I can speak to the power of a live Undertaker entrance. I only got to witness it one time, and it is unlike anything I've ever seen.
But you're supposed to rebuttal me. Tell me that that's shit.
or why Sting has got a better entrance.
I guess
poke holes in it, man. Poke holes.
Sting has had more of a variety of looks and entrances. I mean, like, there's a lot of parallels with Sting and the Undertaker, especially with how they were treated by their home companies, for sure. And like the icon versus the phenom marketing writes itself. But I mean, we've never gotten it in real life. I wish we would, but by the time Sting was in WWE, it was too late.
No, it wasn't. Vince McMahon was just an asshole.
Nah, see, I mean,
they could have easily had a fucking cinematic match.
Yeah, but at that time, cinematic matches weren't it. They weren't the thing yet. We're talking way pre-pandemic.
True.
But yeah, yeah, man. I mean, yeah, that's all I got.
So, all right. So then, this is my question, and I do see, and like you're talking about similarities, and that Sting, and I don't know Sting the character's story, but if he's like the Crow, he's kind of undead, which is very similar to the Undertaker. Now, in my knowledge, I don't know who's been around longer. I mean, it was Sting or the Undertaker.
Honestly, probably about the same time.
Okay.
They probably started wrestling at the same time, but Sting hit mainstream before Taker did.
Gotcha. So, I mean, this is kind of a dispute about the two undead. Are there so the opposite of them? Is there anybody that you can see, any wrestler that you can see opposite of Sting, opposite in style? You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's Sting isn't undead. The era which John chose, he was a vigilante against a group of outsiders, literally called the Outsiders, who created NWO. So he came out to avenge for WCW.
Yes,
but
Sting
but
was
the
basically-
presentation and the coming down from the rafters, coming through the ring, all that stuff is all similar. They tried to do a character that was of the light or whatever, called Mordecai, and it just didn't get over.
All right. So, so for you, John, then I would ask, aside from Sting, because you're advocating for Sting, what other wrestler would you advocate for against that has not wrestled him against Taker?
That has not wrestled him?
Yeah,
it's.
I mean,
there's not many that haven't.
Yeah. So I mean, so this would have been really the ultimate match.
Yeah.
So there wouldn't have been anything any better at all. I mean, I suppose now if you go back in time, let's go back to the 80s.
Yeah.
WWF. Sorry. Who would you pit them against at that time before they were really, I mean, we're talking about, Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, all those guys back then, Roddy Piper. Who would you pit them? Who would you pit Sting against in there that would be really an iconic match from that time?
Sting against at that time?
Yeah. Because then we're going to, so Tim will rebut that next with
Andre.
The Undertaker.
Andre or the Ultimate Warrior or Macho Man. I mean, but Sting versus Macho Man eventually happened in WCW when Macho Man was part of the NWO.
Gotcha.
I think there's money. I think there's money in Sting versus Ultimate Warrior because they both came up in, I believe, UWF as the Blade Runners, and he was called. Before he was the Ultimate Warrior by Vince McMahon, he was called the Dingo Warrior. And, Warrior went to the Fed and Sting stayed with NWA WCW.
Yeah,
because UWF.
Yeah, because I was looking at some of those pictures, early pictures of Sting. I'm like, he looks like the Ultimate Warrior. I mean, the way the makeup was and everything. So
brothers in paint,
that wasn't exactly accidental.
What's that? What was that?
That wasn't exactly accidental.
Oh, okay.
They were. I think. let me chime in real quick. I think they were. The Road Warriors were. Have you heard of the Road Warriors, Dean?
I have not, that I recall anyway.
How about Legion of Doom?
The Road Warriors, Legion of Doom are arguably the most famous tag team of all time.
Okay.
But they were. There was a lot of during that time. There were a lot of teams trying to emulate their success from everywhere. That's how big they were, and Sting and Ultimate Warrior were a part of that, and I think are really only about they were the most successful to break out of that. I can't think of a tag team
as
really
singles wrestlers.
Right,
but as
no tag team was going to
Demolition.
That's true. Until the Legion of Doom showed up.
Yeah, I don't.
Like, you guys are redundant. You're fired.
Yeah, I don't know any of those groups by name. I think the only group is the family of the Von Erichs that I can recall from back in the day. So that was
that's a tragic story.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Terrible. But they're rewriting it now. They're rewriting it.
So yeah. So do they actually have? I mean, because I know that pretty much all of them had passed.
The only surviving brother has it's either his sons or his nephews, and they wrestle for Major League Wrestling.
Oh, right on.
Okay. Ross and Marshall.
All right. Yeah, because I mean, I grew up. That's because they're from Texas, so I grew up with the Von Erichs. I mean, they would show up at fairs and shit and sign stuff, and they were really. I mean, I met Fritz, and I mean, so Fritz, the old man.
Well, if you remember the Von Erichs, you have to remember the Fabulous Freebirds.
Yes, I do remember them. Yes, okay. yes. Now that you mention it, yes,
baby.
Yeah, they look like they were like the wrestling Skinnards. So
literally,
Terry Bam Bam Gordy and Who was the other one?
Michael Hayes
Damon?
saw a picture of Leonard Skinner.
Buddy-
He said, sure.
Buddy Roberts.
Buddy Roberts. Yes. All right.
So yeah, that's really all I have.
You were
as
gonna
far as
ask
questions.
me.
I was going to ask you basically the just the opposite side of what I'd asked John about the an iconic. If you take them, if you take Taker to any time, let's and like I'm saying back to my what I remember, who would you have Taker fight?
Ultimately, I would have this version of Undertaker.
And,
I'm taking?
yeah, sure.
The version of Undertaker from 2007 to 2010, I would love to see wrestle Minoru Suzuki. But if you're asking me overall,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't choose Sting, I would take the original Undertaker from the early 90s against 2019 Bray Wyatt the Fiend. I would take away what happened with their WrestleMania. I would delete that from history, and I would have them feud in cinematic matches and regular matches. But
All right.
Wow.
I don't know who those people are, but Demond, do you approve of that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Because I'm gonna defer to you to anything like that. So
It's both of those characters represent wrestling and it's at its silliest in the best way, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
absolutely.
sure. Well, I mean, yeah. There's a lot of. I mean, the soap opera style of a lot of wrestling that I think that's kind of that's what makes wrestling acceptable for men so often is that it's their stories. It's so and not that guys don't watch soap operas, but that I think there's all that drama that you see and you hear the stories, and because I listen to you guys, I watch your tweets and everything that you say, and I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of shit going on in wrestling. So
There's a lot of lore, dude. Like,
yeah, exactly. So yeah,
whether it's different places
immediately,
right,
and in different places they do it different ways. Like in Japan, the storytelling is pretty much all in the ring. Whether someone comes out and does something, they have backstage promos, but they're not like focused heavy on that kind of stuff.
All right.
And then you have like Mexico, which is you have these characters originally from Lucha Libre, and their predecessors take on their name, and they're numbered, and they're two, they're junior, they're this, they're that, and there's just so much. If you tried to cover all of pro wrestling, your brain would fucking explode. But to what Damon said, how he meant, and if anyone's listening to this that doesn't understand what he meant as it being silly in the best way, is that gimmicks, when given to the right people, work. And when they're given to the wrong people, or creative tinkers too much with it, it becomes silly in a bad way, and it's shit. Like Papa Shango.
Yeah.
Love Kama Mustafa. Love the Godfather. But Papa Shango was absolute shit. There was Mankind. Look at Mankind. If Mankind would have went to anybody else other than Mick Foley, it would not have worked.
Yeah.
If Taker went to anybody else other than Mark Calloway, it wouldn't have worked.
Well, because I was just about to ask you that. Could Mark and I can't remember the guy who plays Sting.
Steve Borden.
Do you think they could swap places?
No.
No,
not at all.
No, it wouldn't work.
Okay.
Literally, like honestly,
NWO.
again, I'm taking over, but the Undertaker is Vince McMahon's greatest creation, other than WrestleMania. That is the God's honest truth. Because Hulk Hogan could have been created by a couple of different other people, including Austin Idol, for anybody who knows that name. So, like,
he's an NWA.
Yeah, like
right now.
man, he's the the
Not
Undertaker was perfect for and Mark Calloway. The Undertaker was perfect for Vince McMahon. The Undertaker was perfect for Mark Calloway, and most importantly, Mark Calloway was important to the Undertaker.
Yeah,
Was the most important to the Undertaker.
I have to
But
agree.
just as much as we could say that about the Undertaker, we could say the same thing about Sting.
Absolutely.
Sting was always the last outlaw, and he was always the vigilante, and he did. Go ahead, John. I shouldn't be doing this.
Well, yeah, because let's go ahead.
Yeah,
So yeah, let's go ahead and do our 2-minute closes. So yeah, John, you
We can
got
do
2
this all
minutes.
day.
Oh,
So
I'm
this
doing
is
the
the
close.
this
Okay.
is this is the angle and the end of the match or whatever.
Okay. So the angle clearly is the Icon versus the Phenom, and the only place I could think that this would make sense to do is WrestleMania. I mean, it's got to be WrestleMania, right? So, I mean, if you go move for move, Sting is very technical, a lot of submissions, a lot of holds. Taker is strikes, punches, forearms. Like he'll just beat the hell out of you. Where Sting will beat you mentally as much as he will physically. Sting will get into your head. Sting will manipulate your thoughts, make you doubt everything, and then defeat you physically. I would say what we would probably see is we would see Undertaker go for the Hell's Gate finisher. And if there were a way to get out of that, Sting would likely slip out and turn it into a Scorpion Deathlock, which is basically like Bret Hart's sharpshooter. If you could see Undertaker going up for the old school, where he walks the ropes and drops the axe handle, you could easily see Sting grab him down off the ropes, get him in the corner, run for a Stinger splash. I mean, he's got the snap DDT, he's got the one-hand bulldog, the gorilla press slam, which always impressed the hell out of me. He can do that to anybody. When he hit the Giant, who was the Big Show and is now Paul White in AEW. Sorry,
It's all right. Go ahead and finish
Go ahead
up.
and go ahead and
but
finish.
yeah, when he hit the Giant with the gorilla press slam, it was like the modern day Hogan slamming Andre.
All right.
Okay.
Tim, 2 minutes.
I did this a bit differently. It's the Dynamite Before Double or Nothing 2022. Tony Schiavone is interviewing Sting in the ring, and Sting is giving a verbal retrospect of his career, especially highlighting his time in AEW. Sting is alluding to a final retirement when the lights go out. A bell rings and lightning strikes the ring, and fire starts around Sting only. Sting is looking around and trying to stomp out the fire. Metallica's Wherever I May Roam plays, and a purple light is shining on the stage. The Undertaker is in AEW. Sting stares at Undertaker as he makes his way to the ring. The lights come back on as and the crew has put out the fire. Undertaker. Steve. The crowd goes nuts chanting AEW. Undertaker. Steve, I left this business over 2 years ago, thinking the same as you. What else was left for me in this realm? Our former overlord did not want us to cross paths, but I have been watching. Sting. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad you've been watching, Mark. Crowd loses it and chants, Mark, Mark, Mark. Sting. Somehow, some way, we, the two names who carried our companies through the bad and the good, have never crossed paths. Until now. Taker. Before you bow out of wrestling, I shall reap your soul, Steve. The dead man is here to collect. You've dodged death for too long. This makes Sting start an offense of power punches and throws into the corner. Sting goes for a stinger splash, but Taker catches him and turns it into a last ride. A slam with such force Sting goes through the ring. The lights go down, flames shoot out of the opening in the mat, and Taker does his famous pose. I have to
What's
keep
wrong
going,
with you?
man.
All right, go ahead, finish
Yeah,
it.
go
Finish
right
it.
ahead.
It's all right.
You
At
knew
double
for
or-
weeks in advance that you had 2 minutes.
Fuck off, prick. At Double or Nothing,
I
Sting
have a
versus
rebuttal
Taker.
Dan, too.
That's fine. Yeah.
At Double or Nothing, Sting versus Taker finally happens in a no disqualification match. They brawl all over the arena. Sting uses his black bat and has Taker in the ring hurting. Sting rushes at Taker, who's up against the ropes, but Taker turns and clotheslines Sting over the rope. Taker hits the opposite rope and hits a tope con hilo to the outside onto Sting. Both men are spent and take 9 seconds to roll back in the ring. Taker is first to his feet, but the bat is near. Sting gets up a bit and strikes Taker with the bat in the midsection, then gets behind Taker and places the bat across Taker's throat and hits a scorpion death drop. Sting yells woo, but Taker sits right up. Taker with his signature MMA style strikes, and Sting is in the corner. Taker goes for old school, but Sting kicks the rope and crotches him. Sting has Taker in the middle of the ring and grabs Taker's leg, signaling for the scorpion deathlock, but Taker applies Hell's Gate. Sting starts to pass out, but Taker breaks the hold. Taker sets up the tombstone and drives Sting head first into the mat, crosses Sting's arms and rolls his eyes back. 1, 2, 3. Undertaker defeats Sting. As Taker walks from the ring, a murder of crows descend upon Sting's body. The lights go off and come back on, and alone in the ring is one crow left of the murder and the infamous Black Bat.
Oh, my. What do you got to say about that, John?
Well, you
That
know
he
what
hates me.
Sting, do you know what Sting doesn't need to win matches? Magic tricks.
Bullshit!
That sounds like the only rebuttal you would need. So,
But
we need
that's
to put,
bullshit because he came down from the rafters to take on the NWO how many times?
Yeah, but you can clearly see the fucking rope and shit. Like, he didn't just.
And you
down
even
like
said
this
he
and shoot
he
lightning
came
down.
out of the ring. That's for theatrics to build up the match.
Well, I have seen Sting.
all right.
I did see Sting set on fire and pushed off of the giant screen once.
Yeah, and the bloodbaths,
Yeah, the bloodbath. Yeah, that's
All right.
graveyard matches.
I know this dispute could go on for a while, but I think we've reached
Oh
where
no,
we need to reach
it's
for.
over.
Well,
It's
it's
finished.
not.
I don't
It's
know if
actually.
it's
It's
over.
actually
How many
not over.
awards is he gonna take
It
back?
is not over yet because it is not over yet because it is now time for folks to vote, and you can go
Yeah,
vote
let's go.
right now at disputedpod.com/Sting v Undertaker, and you get to choose one of those two. Who presented their argument the best, Tim or John? So, Tim
Well, if
with
you're
the
going for
Undertaker.
presented argument, that's not fair.
That's what the whole fucking show is, John.
I can't I'm autistic and shit. I can't do this.
Hey, you know what? I think you did a great job. I think you both did a
clearly
great
you
job.
can because you've already done it.
Hey.
We're 58 minutes into this now. You have done it. You can't say you can't do it. You've done it.
That's right. You did it. You did it. And you know, I don't know which way I would vote for this personally. I mean, because I don't know Sting or the Undertaker. I think you both presented your cases very well.
And I will admit, I came into this having no idea what I was going to do. I've never done anything like this ever.
Well, that's okay. We're going to have you back for more because we're going to have more wrestlers. I'm sure Demond has got a whole. I think he's got a whole
I can
queue
do
of
more
them.
than wrestlers. I don't want to get typecast as the wrestling guy.
Yeah, see, I said that too, John.
Well, that's you know what? That's okay.
But-
So
but we are Armbar Audio.
Bring us both
Monster.
on. Bring us on for Gravity Falls versus Steven Universe.
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
I'm to my notes.
That's tough.
Who's
All
gonna
right.
rep what?
He'd kill me. He'd kill me.
right.
He knows it inside and out. I'm pretty sure he's been in Rebecca Sugar's brain. I don't.
No,
Yeah, we'll
No.
save that for another time. So, Damon, you want to recap this? Just kind of, because I don't know the wrestling stuff, and you.
Okay, so we had. Why is my brain not working? My brain's not
Why is it me?
working. Dun, 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 dun. We had Tim, who talked about. Let's see, Tim had the Undertaker. Yes,
Mhm.
you talked about 90. No, it was 2010 to 2000.
2007 to
2007 to
2010.
2010 Undertaker. Listed off all the. Honestly, there's a lot of Hall of Famers in that list that he listed. And all listed all of his accomplishments. And then we had John, who talked about Sting, which has been a lifelong, lifelong, multi-generational family affair with this
Yeah.
man, from the Monday night, what are called the Monday Night Wars now, the Monday Night Wars era Sting, which was where he developed the look that we now see. And man, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
we argued about lots of wrestling stuff, and we're nerdy. It was fantastic.
I mean, I was listening to the moves, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. I've heard of a sharpshooter just because of Letterkenny.
Bret Hart's a Canadian treasure, man. He should be on the fucking money.
I think this was great. I had a lot of fun with this, and so yeah. We on a more somber note, there was a tragic happenings before I do this, I want to throw this out there because you got a shout out from Tim from Nerdy Mark out there saying sup. So
Sup, Sid?
all right, so so
That's our weird friend from Texas.
Anybody from Texas is weird.
He's
I'm from Texas.
Him,
But anyway, yeah. Was it last night or early this morning? Daphne took her life, so I wanted to, I did not fall. I did see you talk about it last night, but go ahead if you'd like to say some words.
Yeah. Last night, Daphne Unger, aka Shannon Spiril, I believe her last name is, took to Instagram Live with suicide notes, and I unfortunately was watching. This was happening during AEW Dynamite. She kept talking about fighting a losing battle, and she didn't want to do this anymore. And I was saying positive things, and there was a who's who of female wrestlers and male wrestlers: Crowbar, Francine, Velvet Sky, Angelina Love, Gail Kim, Jamie Senegal. The list goes on. Trying to talk to her and get through. Her phone kept ringing and ringing, and she just kept ignoring it, and she was having a tough time with the Instagram Live. It kept coming back and everything, and she apparently had moved recently to an apartment complex and didn't tell anyone the address. And this was all happening during AEW Dynamite, so the entire wrestling community did not know what was going on. We were informed by a fantastic person named DeBath. They are great people, and I saw her cock a gun, and I exited, but then I went back in. There was a few times where I exited and I went back into the live stream, and she had a blanket like here, and the gun was underneath, and she ended it. She ended it there, and it stopped. I kept checking to see if she was still having issues with the Instagram Live, so we could still try and keep talking to her. But as soon as I realized that the Instagram Live was not coming back, I got a sinking feeling, and I know there may not be religious people here. I know that there may not be religious people listening, but I said prayers last night. Um, Daphne was rose to prominence in in the dying days of WCW. She wrestled for Ring of Honor and TNA. She was the first alt slash goth type of female character. She walked so many others could run. The outpouring of love today has shown me how much she loved and cared for the business, and she showed love and hospitality to every up and coming wrestler and existing wrestler that crossed her path. This is a very sad thing. Um, a few years ago, we had the young Hannah Kimura take her life, and suicide is an epidemic. It is not an answer. There is there's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline on your screen right now. There are also other numbers. I think 1-800-CAL HOPE. Uh, you could talk to actual therapists 4 times a day for 15 minutes and for no cost. There's also things called warm lines that you could Google in your area. But if you have suicidal thoughts or ideation at all, know that you're not alone. You're not a burden. You are not bringing anyone down with you. We are all here to lift each other up and help each other. John and I always say in times of crisis on all of our platforms that our DMs and our messages are open, and that is true. You could act however you want to on your timelines, but you can talk to us however you want to. I'm sure Dean feels the same way, and I'm sure Damon feels the same way.
Very much.
Yes.
But this cannot. This has to stop. Um, Life is hard. Life, there's a lot of people on this earth, and no matter how bad you think you have it, there are probably people out there who have it worse than you. It's all a matter of perspective and your mental health. Mental health matters. If you are having any type of problem, any type of problem, whether it's anxiety, depression, um, anger issues, issues relating to domestic stuff, or even Asperger's or anything like that, call someone, make an appointment, do something, call a friend. The easiest thing, call a friend. They'll listen to you and they'll keep you alive until you're okay again. Because I know that when you're in those spots, you don't want to talk to anybody. You don't think anyone's going to understand you. You don't think that anyone could possibly understand the position you're in because it's your life. How could they understand that? And sometimes it's not about understanding. Sometimes it's just about listening and holding you. Do you know that a hug that lasts 20 seconds can give you oxytocin, which will make you feel better instantly? That's all. That's all you need. And there are many people who care and love you. Whether you think that there are or there aren't, there are.
Yep. You matter. You matter.
You matter.
There's there's something that the comedian, and can you even call him a comedian at this point? The artist Bo Burnham said in his latest special Inside.
Yeah.
Where he said that the problem is that when you kill yourself, you're dead forever. And we shouldn't be dead forever yet.
Yeah, I agree. Guys, thank you so much for all that. I mean, I know this This is a very sad day for the wrestling world and for Daphne's family, and friends, things like that. So I know this is a somber note, but I think it needed to be addressed, and I wanted to when I saw you guys talking about it, I definitely wanted to get that addressed. So, but moving on from there, why don't you guys give us your plugs for what you're doing? Go for it, John.
So, this Sunday is All Elite Wrestling's next pay-per-view event. It's called All Out. It's actually their 10th pay-per-view. They're hitting double digits on Sunday. On Saturday, we are going live in the AM with two good buddies of ours for our All Out predictions. And directly after the show on Sunday, we are joining those same good buddies on their channel for a post show. So that'll be fun. Other than that, we've got Tim does his Inside the Indies. That's happening every couple weeks or so.
This week it will be.
There's going to be
replaced.
This week it'll be replaced. I think we're doing Strong Stylings.
Just doing Strong Stylings. Right.
Yep.
But yeah,
I think I know the guy that made the graphic for that.
Yeah. he looks like a billy goat, and he lives in Seattle.
Let's see. Yeah.
And where do we find you guys?
We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Yeah.
Whole shitload of audio platforms.
So
Always
just look up
Armbar Audio.
Armbar Audio. That's where they are.
Go to any website, search Armbar Audio. If we're on there, it'll pop up.
Right on.
Fair enough.
I have one more.
Sure.
That happens this November, actually. I'm actually going to put it behind me so you guys can see if this works. I hope it does. We talked a little bit about it before. I need to crop it.
It ain't easy being green.
No, it's not.
Unless
It's
you're
very
Charlie
difficult,
Day.
actually. Charlie Day is the Green Man. I'm going to have to move out of the way so you guys can see this fully.
There you go.
But this is happening on November 6th. You can't really see that because I'm in the way. But this is for Extra Life Game Day. That is November 6th. This is starting at 9 a.m. and ending at 9 a.m. on November 7th. Live on YouTube for a full 24 hours. There's going to be video game plays. There's going to be board game stuff. We actually just had an idea for doing openings of random trading cards. And I'm talking not like sports. I'm talking like My Little Pony and shit like that.
All right.
There will be alcohol. I'm not gonna lie. I have actually, for when you do donations, I have this, which will have many punishments put in on it. Will be fun. Getting some of those Carolina Reaper chips, some Bean Boozled beans.
Very nice.
So yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a fun time.
Very cool. Very cool. Damon, do you have anything you'd like to plug before I plug my stuff, and then I'll do the preview of the next episode, because I think there's a name in there which I haven't told you how to pronounce, and I know how to do it.
Thank you very much for allowing me not to embarrass myself. You can find me on all the social medias at Damon Does. You can find Damon Does on wherever you get your podcast app. And I'm also a guest host on this little show this week called Boondocks Pod.
Mm-hmm.
And their producer is he's a pretty decent dude. And
looks like a billy goat.
And he does look like a billy goat. And that'll be out this week. So that's what I'm up to now.
Are you not on any shows?
Say again?
Am I not on it? The shows that I'm not on? There's not many. And actually, I'm looking at now possibly doing 2 more.
But you know what, Dean?
I'm here for the chaos.
We feel about about Billy Goats the same way as the crew from Letterkenny feel about Canadian geese.
All right. Yep, that's right. Yeah, if you've got a problem with Billy Goats, you got a problem with me, and I suggest you let that one marinate. So, all right.
I
So,
wish I had a bottle that I could break right now.
let's see here. A couple of things. So just pop this out. So down below, we've got disputed.com/links if you're looking for any of the stuff that we have. I also even created this. So disputed.com/merch, and you can get some t-shirts and other stuff from there of stuff that we have. So go out there, disputedpod.com/merch, disputedpod.com/links. You'll find everything you need. I'm going to go ahead and pop this back up another so to remind you to go vote, disputedpod.com/StingV Undertaker. All right. So next week, tune in next time as we debate the best archaeologist on film, as we bring in my wife, Tiara Walker, from the Boondocks and How Are You Now podcast, and gamer, Twitch streamer, and creator and showrunner of the Pactless Patrons, Riley Gritch. They will be taking on Indiana Jones versus Rick O'Connell. So
That's gonna be awesome.
it's going to be a good one. So I'm looking forward to that. I think I'm liking where all this is going. And you know, guys, I love you all. I love working with you. I love talking to you. You're brilliant. You're bright. You make life better. So thanks for joining us today. You have anything you'd like to say Damon, before we bow out?
Thank you very much, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
That's right. So until next time,
I'm Damon. I'm
Dean. And remember, everything is disputed. Thanks again for joining us. And we'd also like to thank our guests. We would also like to thank those who make the music that make our show so great. We have Hard Fight by Tajirajus, Fight Club by Evil Bear Boris, Fight Makes Right by Atake, and This Party Sucks by Done With Fish. You can find them all on freemusicarchive.org. Also, you can find us and all of our information on disputedpod.com/links.